Story time. So a girl named Taylor sent me this story, and her dad has had a very long history of being in jail. To be more specific, 45 times. Anyways, Taylor was in 3rd grade at the time when her grandmother was driving her to her little old school in Kentucky. She also was in a wheelchair because she broke her foot and she didn't want to use crutches. Anyways, everybody was in the cafeteria eating their lunch, gobble gobble gobble, when the school went into an emergency lockdown. And everybody knows that the lunchroom is the worst place to hide during a lockdown, so everybody went back to their classes, locked the doors, and started hiding. So when they get back to the classroom, Taylor pulls out her phone, and in 3rd grade, I had a flip phone for emergencies too, and she texts her dad and says, "Dad, are you all right? I'm so scared. What is going on?" And then the teacher gets an email saying the reason for the lockdown was that somebody escaped from the courthouse, and Taylor's dad had court that day. And if you haven't put 2 and 2 together, Taylor's dad escaped the courthouse. 5 minutes after the lockdown ends, Taylor's grandmother comes, picks her up, and Taylor's like, "Where's Dad?" And her grandmother nonchalantly said,
"In the woods hiding. We have to go pick him up."
So they drove to his location in the woods, they picked him up, put him in the trunk of their car, and drove home. That's it.
If you're squeamish, then look away. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna tell you the story behind this photo.
Okay, it was the summer of 2019, and Lynn had just gotten this beautiful new dress. She was on her way to her grandma's house, and everybody was telling her that she looked so beautiful in her new dress. Now, I don't know if the dress was like cursed or whatever, or if she just wasn't paying attention, but she was literally going from room to room at her grandma's house, and she just dislocates her knee. Like, she's literally walking and boom. I don't know. And if you don't know, if you dislocate your knee, you either get one of these or these. So she had that on for about a month and a half, and then she drives an hour away to get a 40-minute CAT scan, and then the doctor takes off her cast and she literally passes out. And she had to do physiotherapy for like 3 months after, and if you don't know, that is really uncomfortable and it's horrible. And she considered that her worst day ever until she recently found out that she had COVID. Lynn, thank you for your story, and I hope that your body gets better. Okay, story time. This is really creepy and really unsettling. So this girl and her brother, let's call her Amanda, rode the same bike path every day, 3 times a day. One day, they decided to take a different path, and they passed this old camper with this creepy old man sitting outside of it. So he starts yelling at them, and he goes, "Hey, where are you from? How old are you? Come here." Of course, they ignored him and kept pedaling, and I don't think he liked that because he got up and started chasing after them. Of course, he was an old man who was running, and they had bikes, but it's still weird. Later on, Amanda and her brother made friends with this girl who was a little bit younger than them, and they would hang out together. They were all hanging out when Amanda and her brother went inside, and Emma said that she was going to go for a walk. An hour later, it was dark and nobody had seen Emma, and that's when everybody started realizing that nobody knew where Emma was. Amanda and her brother tell her parents about the creepy old man that they saw the other day, and they take them to the camper. So they knock on the camper, he answers the door, and they ask if he's with anybody, and he's like, "No, I'm alone." Then they hear a really faint noise that kind of sounds like a girl, and he slams the door in their faces. So Amanda and Emma's parents call the police get there, they bust through the door, and guess who they find? Emma. Anyways, he was arrested for kidnapping. Yeah. Story time. As a person who literally has a fear of vomit, I get a lot of vomit stories in my DMs. Anyways, a guy named Henry sent me this. It's really disgusting but really funny. So Henry lived in Canada. He was in 4th grade, and his class went to go play on the soccer fields for this tournament thing. It was one of those parks with like soccer fields, baseball fields, and it had an ice rink in the middle of it because, you know, Canada. And they were in 4th grade. Nobody really cared who was winning. Everybody was just picking their noses. Not that I did that when I was in 4th grade. And his classmate Ashley was the only person that was trying to score a goal. And they were on a hill, and I guess she was trying really, really hard because she fell and rolled off the hill in a really awkward position, and when she landed, her bone was like sticking out of her body. So his classmates at the top of the hill saw it, and a few of them like puked all over the grass. So his teachers saw it, and they were like, "Oh my god," and they run down the hill and they help her up and they start walking up the hill. But the vomit was like sliding down the hill, and they didn't know, and they all slipped in it and started falling down the hill with the girl, just covered in the girl's vomit. Anyways, they were missing a player for the rest of the day, and her wound got infected.